Hello and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me as always is La Senora de Huevo herself.
Sarah.
That is the Lady of Egg.
I like
And
eggs.
today we're doing a review of Bandada. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. The goal is to take the best pictures of beautiful birds through card drafting, dice manipulation, and scoring criteria. So why did we get this?
I have no idea. It showed up in the mail. And I'm like, Sarah, what is this? And she goes, did I forget to tell you about this? Because there are a number of different Kickstarter games that she backs, and there's a lot that she likes to back. So sometimes she'll come up to me and she's like, oh, there's this game. And like, but it doesn't cost much. Like, how much does it cost? And it's like $20. Just get it. I don't care.
So it's not completely my fault that he didn't know. He told me not to tell him.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. It's my fault.
Anyways, so why I did back this game. It was mechanics we liked, dice drafting, or card drafting, dice manipulation. The art is beautiful. It's a really nice theme, and like you said, it was a low price point, so it was easy to take a chance on it.
Yep.
So then, what do we like about the game now that you've actually played it?
So I'm just going to skip over to the mechanics.
Okay.
Because it's very, very interesting in how much every decision you make in this game affects every other part of the game.
Yeah.
Seeing a little small game like this be that beefy mechanically is just impressive. It knocks my socks off.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering you're dealing with, 12 dice?
Yes.
And there's, I believe, 12 bird cards, too.
Yes.
So
and you're only doing 4 turns.
And you're only doing 4 turns, so each player, in a it's a 2-player game other than solo, each player is going to get 4 cards, so you're only effectively using 8 of the 12 cards each game. But it's heavy, the decisions that you have to make with those few components.
Yes.
Because of the way the mechanics work.
Now, why do you like it?
Well, I like that it is short. It really does play fast, other than if you have like some analysis paralysis, which we'll talk about in a bit, because I did kind of suffer from that. It's a small footprint. We have played small card games that just take up the whole table. This doesn't do that. It is still very cognizant of the space that you have to play. So it's a small game in the box, and it's a smaller game on the table.
Yeah, easy to take places.
The art, I'll talk on it since Will doesn't look at it because of his vision. It's beautiful. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is from a
repository.
Yeah, so it's open source art. I can't find
royalty free.
Royalty free, but more than that, it's old art that is now public domain. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. So from an online library source, this one artist drew all these different birds, and it's just gorgeous. So I'm really glad that the designer was able to, utilize this art and make it and package it into such a beautiful game. And then also talking about aesthetics, the graphic design is also really good in here. Great icons. Now the explanation of some of the icons needed some work in the rules, but the actual icons themselves, it was very well done.
And it has a cute little magnetic closure for the box.
Yeah. So it was really great packaging all around.
Classy.
Very classy. But let's move on to what we don't like about the game.
Okay, so as much as I like how heavy the mechanics are, I also feel that's a detriment to the theme. Mm-hmm. And for this reason, I like a game to be lighter than the actual activity itself. In other words, I don't want to work harder at the game than if I just got up and did the thing
in real life.
Now, this might be a little bit different for us because, we just got a brand new camera that can take wonderful pictures. We live in a house that seems to be almost littered with birds.
Outside, not inside.
Outside. We have plenty of birds outside. So we could just grab the camera, step outside, start taking pictures of birds. Easy. This is so much more work.
It's a very challenging game. I also would have to say that, unfortunately, the heavy mechanisms don't match the lightness of the theme, and that disconnect also means that you can't enjoy the theme completely because normally you want a game's mechanisms to match the theme. Even if you're doing a very abstract game, you want to at least be able to feel that it could potentially connect. But because you have to focus so much on the mechanisms and making decisions in the game, there was a point where we stopped reading the names of the birds because that was too much information.
Yeah, you almost have to make brain space for yourself. Right. You're like, okay, what can I, if I have a word problem, what part of these words do I not need? And just start chucking it all out to you, just get to the core of it. And that's what we felt like we're doing here.
Yeah.
Is what's important.
And for Will, since he can't see the art and he's just focused on the mechanisms, he's really not getting it. And then for me, I see the pretty birds, but after a while I'm ignoring them because I'm looking at the top of the card for what it does to change the dice, and I'm looking at the bottom of the card to see what scoring opportunities it's giving me. In the middle where the art is, I'm just completely skipping it. It's like the only part of the card that matters is the top and the bottom. And so I find it really unfortunate because one of the reasons why I did like this and picked it up, supported the Kickstarter, was because of the theme. I was like, oh, great. We need more lightweight themed games. And I just guess I didn't realize how heavy the mechanisms were going to be.
Yeah, which rolls right into the other issue is the analysis paralysis, the cognitive.
I was okay during the first couple of rounds of each game. It was still a bit of a struggle. Third round, I really got a lot of paralysis on just making decisions because there's so many things to consider. Fourth round, my brain just broke. It just literally was too much information to try to consider all the dice, all the cards I had, all the cards that Will had, the options to pick from and what I was going to draw, what I was going to take, how I was going to manipulate it. It just was too much. It just overwhelmed me. And so therefore I could not play effectively against Will. And this being a head-to-head two-player game, you are directly manipulating dice, which are both players' scoring metrics. It just was a bit too much for me to be competitive with it.
Yeah, it actually reminds me of, there's a Mel Brooks film called High Anxiety that makes fun of a lot of Hitchcock films. And one of the scenes that's my favorite is when it makes fun of the birds. And there you have a guy and, birds start showing up and it's okay. And then more start showing up and it's okay. And then more and more. And then they're starting crap all over the place. And then the person's running out. And that's kind of how it starts feeling, where it's just overwhelming, little bits over time. But then it's just this mad chaos of all the things I have to consider. I'm like, I was attacked by birds.
Yeah, I did kind of feel a little attacked by birds.
Yes.
And these are beautiful birds, and I don't really want to be attacked by them.
No.
All right, so then let's move on to our ratings.
So for our ratings, we each have 1d6 worth of ratings to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give our number, a reason why, add the two numbers together, and see what it rolled for us. Sarah, what did Bandada roll for you?
I gave it a 3, and I wanted to give it more, but it still comes down to, I think it's a solid game. It is a small box, it's thinky, it's very pretty, and generally I like those. It's just a little too much thinky because it breaks my brain. There's just too many factors to take into consideration. And again, hate to compare games, but this kind of style of card drafting kind of reminds me of Tussie Mussy, which is another two-player game it's only card drafting, there's no dice. And when it comes down to it, and if I'm going to pick a two-player head-to-head drafting game, I'm going to pick Tussie Mussy because it's just a bit lighter. It doesn't break my brain, but it gives me a more fulfilling experience. And it has a light theme too of making bouquets of flowers. So it's got that pretty theme. This has a pretty theme. This one just breaks my brain. And so I don't think it's a bad game. I think I'm the wrong player for it, which is why I give it a 3, is I still think it's a solid game, just not one I'm ever going to probably agree to play.
For me, it also scored a 3. Pretty much for the same reasons Sarah did. I believe that games, half of what gets it to the table is the mechanics. That's why it gets a 3. It delivers on mechanics. Good Lord, does it do that. After that, though, I'm not exactly sure who I can really recommend this. I would have to know the person intimately, everything they like to play, what their likes are for heavy versus filler games, before I can really narrow it down and go, yeah, you're the right person for Bandada. It's such a niche filler game that over delivers on mechanics that it's hard to just bring out to the table. And that's sadly where it fits in. I'm not exactly sure we need something this heavy as a filler.
Well, especially considering it is a 2-player or solo game. You're never going to play this solo because you would need my help to play it.
Solo. That's who I really think would benefit the most out of this.
Yeah, I think if you like heavy thinky games and you like solo play and you're not opposed to birds, or you like birds, because maybe heavy thinky gamers are...
and you need a small footprint. Yeah, so 4 for solo, 3 for everybody else.
Yeah, now we didn't try the solo, but there are, if I remember correctly, a couple ways to play solo, because isn't there some extra cards that there's kind of like a, not an adventure, but there's a, I don't want to use the word campaign either, but there are cards you play, give you different goals or objectives, and I think you do play them in a row. I'm afraid I didn't look at it closer before we did the video. But this game is definitely very robust for solo because there are extra cards specifically for solo play.
Yeah. So there you go. 6 out of 12 for 2 players, possibly a 7 out of 12 for solo players.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's almost too meaty. That's all it comes down to. It's just almost too meaty. Well, that will do it for us at Rolling with Reviews. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with 2, that's TWO. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And you need to look no further for Wing People, because we're right here. And we've been Rolling with Reviews.